In this video, I took on the same improvisation challenge that Jacob Collier did in his 18 complex emotions video from Wired. This video was a lot of fun to make. Also, only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the video. Alright guys, so I'm sure that you've all seen this video by now. It's Jacob Collier. He's a 4-time Grammy award-winning musician. So he did this challenge where he improvised piano on 18 increasingly complex emotions. Okay, so we're going to be doing the same thing today. So the melody I chose was Mary Had a Little Lamb.
And as I'm doing so, emotions of increasing complexity will be fired at me in real time. The challenge will be to seamlessly transition from one emotion to the next without stopping playing the tune.
I'm going to be doing it in the same way. I basically put his video on my iPad in front of the piano, and as the emotion came up, I just switched the playing to match that emotion, okay?
So what you'll be seeing is a real-time intuitive musical process.
I've already seen the emotion, but honestly, when I was playing it, I couldn't remember the emotion anyway, so as soon as it came up, it was basically like seeing it for the first time.
Each performance, I'll be doing a boatload of musical analysis, describing what's going on in my brain as I'm making these musical decisions.
So I'm going to be doing the same thing for this video.
Okay, so 3 different tiers of emotional complexity to work with, ranging from tier 1, the most simplistic of all the emotions, to tier 2, more abstract, compound emotions, to tier 3, the least defined, most subjective. Let's begin with tier 1.
Okay, so let's begin. Alright, so now let's go ahead and analyze my tier 1. Okay, so happy comes up. This is pretty easy. Just play a happy version of this with bright open chords. So here the obvious choice is to do a darker version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And also to slow down the energy a lot because, you know, you can't really have a lot of energy when you're sad. So now we're bringing up the energy once we see the angry. And then just... if you think about it, anger is just sadness with more energy, right? They switched to mysterious so quickly. I had to finish the angry outburst before I could move on to mysterious. Okay, here I modulated to E flat minor, which is like this kind of evil chord progression. Kind of like reminds you of Gollum from Lord of the Rings, you know? My precious. Super creepy kind of vibes, which I guess goes along with mysterious. Now opening up the chords again, suddenly with triumphant. Yeah, the triumphant feeling is just like big open chords, very decisive melody. You're open with the world, you're celebrating something. Alright, so that's it for tier 1.
Okay, so now it's time for tier 2. These emotions will be slightly less defined, slightly more abstract, and increasingly subjective.
So first is frightened. Immediately I think just like a very closed off melody, just like this kind of unclear harmony, sparse notes, just kind of like being scared of expressing yourself. So singing flirtatious, the energy has to increase immediately, right? It's like a Mozart kind of vibe. Just like a really playful gesture. So with confused, it's kind of like the frightened earlier, but it's not as dark. And so like the melody doesn't really go in any direction. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, it just kind of just hops around. When Jacob Collier was doing it, he actually did disruptive, like just a regular melody, and then all of a sudden, like a big chord in the bottom. For me, disruptive just means like really in your face, getting your attention no matter what. Just a lot of percussive notes, a lot of big chords, and then calming down right away to reassuring. I really like this ninth, so this E flat on top of D flat, right? It's like this hugging kind of feeling. You have like this melody that kind of comes down, but it's really warm. Feels like you're relaxing. Immediate darkness with this betrayed feeling. Yeah, so Romeo and Juliet, if you don't know the melody, it's like... So that's what I mean by double minor progression, is here I play from C minor to G minor, and then A flat major, and then G minor again, to really emphasize the sadness of the situation. How could you do this to me? So I wanted to show here like the depth of emotion that, it's not just all sadness. It might have been like some positive memories, a lot of trust that was broken. So that concludes tier 2, levels 7 to 12.
Okay, so it's time for our final tier of emotions. These are the most abstract emotions of all, extremely subjective, little defined, subtle combinations of simpler states, really open to interpretation.
Alright, so here we go. Let's analyze tier 3, which was levels 13 to 18. Okay, so seeing a lost friend. One thing I wanted to do right away was bring in that B, which is, you know, that major 7th reminds you of like this feeling of bittersweetness. You're sad that you haven't seen him for so long, but you're also happy. And then, of course, dun, 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 dun. Like that is like a kind of Studio Ghibli vibe. All right. And then so inevitability, like what does that mean, first of all? I mean, it definitely means something that just seems like you can't escape from it. That's what I imagine, right? You can't escape. So I started using these like tremolos because it's kind of like you're facing off against the final boss. You're meeting your destiny. This feeling of sustained note, right? It really makes you feel like whatever you're about to do, it was destined, right? So that's the whole idea of this inevitability word, which is a little bit confusing. Now we see the guilt. So the chord I use, right? This is like this kind of like shimmery effect where you're playing something normal, like epic, and then you go into this. It's like the Star Wars kind of vibe where like it immediately shifts the atmosphere into something that's more nebulous, okay? Obviously, guilt is a very low energy feeling, you know, but it's also very dark. And it actually, you notice here, like my camera really became dark for some reason here. And then, so like this dissonance going right into C minor. Right, that's just like this super, you have like this a lot of tension inside of your heart, and then you just look at my facial expression. That is the face of guilt right there. Wow, I was really trying to feel that. And then yeah, this like tragic feeling, like it's like I'm sorry. And then I see forgiveness. It's like, okay, that's like the opposite, right? And then, so immediately I switch back to single note melody because I was like, okay, you can't be like, let me forgive you really strongly. That doesn't work. It's like, and I immediately want to just make this warm connection between the music, you know? But once again, you know, this ninth signify like this aspect of hugging, of embracing, like, okay, I forgive you. Even though you did something wrong, but it's okay. You know, we can be friends. But don't do that again. Just... Okay, so now I saw Jacob Collier, which I was like, okay, let me try to be a little bit jazzy. But then I realized, wait a second. I'm trying to be jazzy versus Jacob Collier, who is the king of jazz. So no matter how jazzy I sound here, I'm going to sound really stupid. So instead, I was like, you know what? Instead of doing Jacob Collier, I'm just going to do Lionel Yu, which is my sound. So I was like, let me just move on to like this, you know, my sound, at least at that time, I was feeling really energetic. So I wanted to bring out this more happy, energetic vibe. So actually, I think here I was a little bit influenced by my previous dark rendition of Mary Had a Little Lamb. No, I think that's like an Eastern vibe, right? It has like that pentatonic scale, but then also it has like this like, you know, rushing towards the enemy kind of feeling, like this glorious, you know, fires of a revolution kind of feeling. And then I see the word closure. So I was like, okay, what does closure sound like? Well, closure seems like the ending of a song, right? So usually when you have the ending of a piece, you have a section where like suddenly the harmonies stop going crazy and they just start going the same. So that's what Beethoven did a lot in his pieces. once you start hearing the harmonies start to coalesce, then you know that the piece is about to end. So that's why I started. The piece is gonna end. And then here, I love this, you know, because I wanted to bring back. Like, I just love that ninth, right? Closure also means like this warmth, because, you know, maybe you had something in your heart that you've been holding on to or that's been burdening you, and then it's like letting things go, letting this cleansing. And that actually shared a lot of themes with the forgiveness, which is also, you know, closure, right? Okay, and that concludes the tier 3 analysis.